So thank you. I think I'm going to give the floor to Erik and Alberto just for closing remarks, and then we finalize. Thank you.
Sure. We'll leave the host to speak last, of course. So just a few closing thoughts. We had talked a lot, a thread through all the presentations was cost recovery. And over the course of the trajectory of funding, a lot of municipal or public systems in water and wastewater have been developed. And then as these expectations and needs for these services expanded to places that have not been part traditionally of global industrialization, now maybe more so, but face a lot of economic challenges. We look to the private sector to be able to support that. There was also a movement in, for instance, the US to be able to look at privatization of water utilities as well that largely didn't really take hold, both on the concerns people had about it, but also the investments that were sought after. And this idea of public and private partnerships has also been in the US and Europe, one that's been talked about for a long time, still hard to get traction as well. So there's a lot of overlap in trying to figure out how to identify cost recovery mechanisms for these types of treatments, for these types of infrastructure challenges. And at the same time, it's the wastewater industry is very dynamic. So we were talking a little bit with some side conversations. You design a plant, it may last for 20 or 30 years. By the time that plant is built, it's been going through 5 to 10 years worth of planning and capital planning and designs. And the designs that might actually get the plan is constructed around may have been 10 years prior in textbooks, published by some of the industry leaders. So a plant that comes online in 2025 may already be 5 years obsolete potentially. And that's a really hard challenge in a lot of different sectors, but especially when you have these fast emerging water quality challenges. And then last, I liked, Andrea, your presentation about stories, because presenting stories is something in the water utilities as largely a technocratic set of organizations aren't necessarily that good at, but we are trying to diversify that. So I think there's some leading California utilities that have trying to make different connections, work with community groups to be able to get messages out. And when you need to increase financing and funding, especially in the public realm or in the public and private realm, this kind of communication method is very important. And I think going forward, it'll be doubly important to be able to communicate both the risk from these emerging contaminants as well as the need for financing and the benefits that'll come from that.
Thank you. I think this topic we were discussing today is really endless. We can engage in many discussions at the scientific level, technical level, legal level, institutional level. There are so many things that we have to sort out that just one morning of discussion is clearly not enough. But at the same time, I think we exchange ideas and experiences of different approaches in the US, in some states of the US, in Chile, in Spain, in Europe as well. And we see that the types of problems we're encountering are shared, are common. Challenges are shared as well. And of course, in this process, we will engage in the following decades. There will be a lot of learning, a lot of experiences, and we will be doing trial and error at every level, institutional, technical, but we need to address this problem. The issue of water is a two-way process, because when it comes in and then you have to spill to the natural source, you want to keep it as safe and clean as possible, and then you remain with the disposal, and where there are talks about using that sludge or those byproducts to be used in agriculture, in many other sources and uses. But if you've removed all the contaminants, then you have the contaminants in the sludge. And then you need to remove those contaminants to make them use available. So there's all sorts of issues. So for example, in Spain, the fertilizers industry don't even want to hear the statement that sludge is a fertilizer. They didn't want to mention that. They just say this is a completely different product and don't mess with our products. Because we are producing fertilizers, and what you have is a mixture of all kinds of products, which depends on the water usage. So even looking at the byproduct, the circularity of the process is also very challenging. But this is what we want to do in order to be more sustainable, more circular, more efficient with energy. But again, the second part, the transformation, it's also very tricky, and it requires regulation and institutional approach. We saw a little bit of fragmentation, unpreparedness in Tucson, many difficulties, and in Europe, as less we are just beginning because the directive entry in force is 1st of January this year, and this policy will last for, I would say, 2 decades at least, and the investments are huge, so there's so much we have to learn about. I'd like to thank you all for participating in the seminar. It was very useful. All the presentations were really concrete, short, but to the point, so we had the opportunity to listen many views. So thank you so much for the attendance, and for the rest of, thank you so much, Christian, for being in charge with us through the screen and for participating. And for the advisory committee, we will be having lunch today. We have a whole afternoon to discuss things related to the Rosenberg Forum. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, the University of California, for coordinating this program, and with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, Christian.
There's a lot more toilet.
Yep.
Santiago discharge.